Okay, in today's video we're going to talk about lead forms. Lead ads and lead forms. If you don't know what lead ads are, it's basically the ads that you can run on Facebook as well as Instagram, where somebody can, within the ad, fill out a contact form to enter their information in order to turn into a lead. If you're looking to generate leads, that's technically one way of doing it. But what I'm going to cover in this video, or what this video is about, is to crap on them a little bit, or a lot if you want to just call it that. Not to say they don't have any value, but it's all relative. In marketing, it's not a matter of is there value, but is there something that can get a higher return, or business in general, if you want to call it that as well, but or refer to that. Why lead ads are stupid. So I'm going further here and actually explaining why it would be stupid for you to do this. And 99% of the occasions where you guys would actually be generating leads. If you're an e-commerce business, by the way, you should be generating leads for your business for some of the higher ticket items that you have. And not just, if you offer a service and that kind of stuff, but not going too much into that detail, but even when you get a ton of so let's say you've got it figured out, you're going to run, you need leads, you want to run banner ads, PPC ads for what you're doing. Even if you get a ton of these lead ad conversions, people filling out the contact form, why, that doesn't really matter. It's not so, because it's all relative. You got to compare that to what is alternative or something else you can do, basically. And so with lead ads, what makes them different is the fact that they fill out the form versus taking them to the landing page or your website or wherever you're taking them to. Whereas the traffic, it's an ad that specifically it's all end all be all. Of course, you could have the best targeting in the world. You can make money from lead ads even, but you can make more money not using the lead ad and you're using another regular display ad there on Facebook, newsfeed ad, regular. So the static image is what I use. Same thing with Instagram. And that's why, that's what I would recommend that you use, since I use the regular static image ads for a reason, because they're easy to view. And that goes for, by the way, all the other ad types that they have. I don't like to get fancy. I want one key message in front of the user to get the user, ultimately it comes down to this. User scrolling, you got to be able to capture their attention. It's got to look totally unique to get their attention, and you got to be able to instantly communicate what it is that you're offering. So basically, it's just almost like a YouTube thumbnail. Most of the successful YouTube thumbnails, what do? They have maybe a picture of someone's head with some reaction, but mostly it's like 3 or 4 words that sum up what you're going to get in the video. And that should, by the way, be what you do with your Facebook ads, because that's what's going to work the best. So not having the full space basically allows you to do that less effectively, is basically the kind of the general gist of all this. But you have the lead ads. You can do that, but you have to use the form. Well, the form disallows you to do things that a website or taking people to a landing page is going to allow you to do. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to get into the pros and cons, and then what the alternatives are to the lead ads. Case studies at the end that explain me switching over from lead ads to the alternatives that I'm going to give you, and how much of a difference that made in terms of the profit generated on the campaigns I was working on, and took over from somebody basically that was using lead ads and then switched over to what works better, which is the alternative from that, and how to do all this stuff. So first of all, though, what are lead ads and why are most people wanting to actually use them? So the main thing is they're easy. They're way easier to implement. People hate making websites. They hate making landing pages. And they also don't know how to make landing pages, and they don't understand the value of a landing page. They just think anybody can do this, where it's literally an art form to make a landing page that converts at a super high rate that you could literally print money with, because basically it's hard to screw up a PPC campaign if the landing page converts at 5 times what somebody else is paying, because you could pay, basically it's hard to script the PPC for what, assuming that there's a market, your competitors are making money. If you walk in with just a better landing page, that can basically be all you do, and you can win just from that. And I do a lot of occasions just do that. So, if somebody needs results, they switch to the landing page. That's all I'm focusing on, and that can bring 2 to 5x difference in number of leads, and can be sufficient, at least for short-term gains. Just worrying about this a good half of the occasions where I work with the client initially, and I got to guarantee the results up front. So, for me, it's easy. So it's easy for me to say, yeah, you should use a landing page if that's going to make you more money, because you still obviously have to go to somebody who knows what they're doing. Somebody who charges $1,000 for a landing page, frankly, just keep it simple, don't know what they're doing. Unless you get really, really lucky. You got to have good design from a designer who understands UX design. User experience design is what that stands for. You got to have a copywriter. You got to have a big idea guy who understands how to plan it from an overall perspective, and working with that designer and the copywriter. So who understands, has lots of, tens of millions of dollars a year in ad spend history under their belt to understand how these landing pages have to work over many, many, many different iterations and tests that they ran. So they're not playing around and guessing on your pocketbook, if you will. So the reason, so the person says, and plus it's just time consuming. People like instant gratification. It's just the reason why most people, like 90% of people, basically don't make money with Google ads. What do? They're like, well, maybe I should do Google ads. And then they go to Google, they go through the account sign up process, which makes it look deceivingly simple, which it is simple to spend your money. It's not simple to get results. So they click, campaign launched. They have, a couple grand in their bank account. It's gone in a week. And then they just sit there and say, where did the money go? Because they didn't have a plan, and they didn't know a lot of times how to make a landing page, or just set up their campaign right. But they also didn't know about landing pages, a number of different reasons. But they don't want to think about it, so they just want to think, the idea is, if I just set this up, I'm going to be rich. And obviously, if anything takes 15 minutes in this world, it's not going to get you rich. So they don't worry about all that stuff. And only do the ones that make money sit down and say, okay, what did I do wrong? And then they start studying, and they start bringing on the right people that have the expertise. And when they make the Facebook ad, they think, I basically, in the situation, they've already ran ads. They don't do a lead ad right away, generally speaking. But they'll do a lead ad later on because, okay, now I have this new promotion for this new product or this new service or this upcoming event, and I need to have speed of delivery. I need to get this out, and it's going to take me time. Or, of course, it's going to take me time worrying about it, and I got other stuff to do. I'm going to do all that other stuff. As just a small sidetrack to that, in your business, your marketing should be what you're focusing on. Outsource the other stuff. Why? Because it's difficult enough to get results with your campaign and profitable enough that you can make money from your PPC and just hire the right people to do pretty much everything else in your business other than signing the checks. A lot of other successful people will tell you that. Basically they tell themselves they don't have time, which part of it is it's not something that's easy for them if they're not a creative person to do, so then they just use the lead ad. Well, the lead ad, they don't know that's the reason why they didn't make any profit, or maybe they ran their ads. A lot of times people run ads, they don't know it's not profitable because they don't have tracking set up, or they don't track their lead all the way to a sale and then see if the ROI is there that way. They don't understand what the alternatives are, so on and so forth. So they set that up, and then they're happily, blindly, the term ignorance is bliss is true. They run them, they don't know they could be doing better some other place, or that they're losing money, or they lost money, but with a small tweak, which is to use a landing page, you could potentially make that campaign work. And that teeny tiny little bit of adjustment, i.e. having the landing page, is the difference between making no money and having ROI and being able to scale and generate millions of dollars a year in sales long term when that thing runs for years after you add it all up. Literally speaking, we're talking about small things that make a big difference like that. And with this, you can literally double the money you're making, as I'm going to tell you later in the case study section, just switching over to using a landing page. And then the other thing that's deceptive, some people actually, They test, with the lead form, without, and it's deceiving, because actually what you'll end up most of the time with is 20 to 50% more in that range, as I've found. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less. More of the actual leads, the contact information that you ultimately want from the user, from these campaigns, to contact you. So they just say, they think, they know inherently deep down a lead is not a lead, but they just automatically assume. Sometimes they're tricked. I'd say more than often they're tricked, but sometimes they convince themselves, lead is not a lead, but they're not going to worry about, is the lead that I'm getting from this lead form the same as somebody that goes to my site? And the answer to that is it makes a huge difference, and that's why the lead ads, if you want to just call it stupid, is stupid. Essentially, somebody gets to that lead form, they haven't went to your site, that person's not very qualified. It's just like if you have a landing page, and a short landing page that gets people's information at a higher rate, which it will a lot of times, will generate more leads. But if you had a long sales page that had all the information the user wants on it, which would answer pretty much every question they had, and you really worked on that landing page so that when a person was asking a lot of questions in your sales department, you added a section or information on your landing page about that, you get very few leads, but your conversion rate's through the roof once you've done all that process. This is a similar thing to that. But anyway, they're getting a lot more leads, and they're just, without overthinking it, they're like, okay, this is great, lead ads are awesome. And then ignorance is bliss. They're not making what they should, or not making it anything at all, because they're not very efficient in terms of what the quality of lead you got. You want to be able to send people to your site so you can, doing a number of things, but one of which is to educate that buyer as to why you're the best, whatever it is that your differentiator is, and leave a lasting impression on that user's mind, so that later on when they go in, a lot of times that, if you're looking for a roof, you don't actually decide to buy it until 6 months later. And when you decide to buy it, who do you think gets the sale? Somebody that you filled out a lead form out on Facebook, or somebody who went to your site, reviewed that whole site, plus they saw remarketing ads for you that had that same look and feel of the site, reminding them of their experience on the site. The leads on the flip side there, people, the ones that go to your site, convert at a much, much higher rate. So the cons are, though, you might get more leads with the lead ads, but the lead quality is easily twice as good for if I average out all the situations, different businesses, it's a little different, but literally twice as good, i.e. converts at twice the rate if you could send people to a dedicated landing page. With Facebook and Instagram ads, you got to have a landing page if you're going to do real well generating leads. You can't just send them people to your site for one. But the ability that you can send them to a landing page and tell that person exactly what they want to hear, and the ability for some people, 10% or so, that really want to deep research your company on the spot, can click the home button from that landing page, which you should have, or the logo on the landing page that takes them to the home page of your site, and then go and research. You're also going to get those as well, and a lot of those people will want to buy on the spot because they now already went through all that research. It's about 10% of people who go to your main site from your landing page to research more, and those are like your best quality leads. So, but ultimately though, they convert at about twice the rate because on the landing page, for Facebook, a lot of times I don't use a huge landing page a lot of times because I do kind of just want their information so I can sell them on the phone. On a Facebook ad, because that person was looking at their friend's birthday, and so you kind of got them in a situation where it's hard to get their full investment of time. Versus on Google, I'm going to have a huge landing page because the person was already looking to buy, assuming that it's an ad targeting a buyer, and that's going to work the best to get the more they read, the longer they're on the page, the less likely they're going to leave and click on somebody else's because they don't want to go through the process again, if you will. So, not always. Sometimes I'll just have very simple image and text in a form on a Facebook landing page, but even with that, if that works, I still recommend you add just a little bit more information. Why you should use our service, what are the benefits, what are the differences versus us and the competitor, why you should, what and why it's relevant today versus next month. i.e. there's some reason that they should act now versus later. And so you can have that control over the landing page if you use not lead ads in your regular ads and sending people to the site. And again, 10% of those people will go through your whole site and they'll basically be ready to buy without having to do a whole lot to them over the phone, because that's the type of person they are. Overall, your leads are going to convert at twice the rate. But part of the reason they actually convert at twice the rate is because the other element that people don't think about with these lead ads is that you could do remarketing. I'm a huge proponent of remarketing, the ads that follow you around the web when you went to somebody's site, you're searching for red shoes, and then suddenly you see red shoe ads all over the place once you've been to just one website about red shoes that were selling them. I will do so instead of hitting the user over the head over and over again with buy our red shoes, buy your red shoes, buy your red shoes, like most idiotic lazy people are doing, which the consumer hates, I'm going to have an ad that shows up for you that tells you why we're the best. And then the next day you're going to get hit with another ad that says the other reason why we're the best. Now then you'll have another ad that has the information about what a case study, and then another ad that has a testimonial, and then another ad that has our Google reviews, and so on and so forth. Have 5-10 different ads that get rotated out for the user. So if they got to our landing page and they converted into a lead, that's going to continue to sell the person in bite-sized chunks over the next however long the typical sales cycle window is, whether it's a month, 2 months, or 2 weeks, whatever, so that it does the rest of the selling that your salesperson never got accomplished on the phone. And more so, it instills trust. If you want to instill trust in somebody, you repeat messaging. The reason why things are if you want to know why, just as a side topic, things that are on the news, well, like political campaigns so much, and you see the same political signs everywhere, because they're fundamentally knowing that if you want to get somebody to vote for you and think you're the best, you have to repeat the name over and over again and the message over and over again. So part of the remarketing ads do that, even though I'm actually going to educate the buyer with actual needed information about why you should use us and why the other companies are a scam, basically. But through the repetition, you'll gain trust. So when that person actually finally decides to buy, I'm the one automatically they trust and remember. And the remarketing ads can have the same look, and they should have the same look and feel of your website and the landing page more specifically they were from. It's more important that the landing page design matches the remarketing design. So when they see, they clicked on your Facebook ad, they got to your landing page, now they remember that, they filled out the form, and now they see ads that look like the landing page. Now remember you, and they tie what, the conversation they had after they filled out the form on that landing page to what they saw in all the other ads that say we're the best because of this and this and this and this, and the competition sucks because of this. Ultimately they'll end up at a higher rate now, just getting back to you and buying and saying yes after your sales conversation initially that you had with them. Or they'll just, again, people inherently wait some time, they have to talk to their wife or wait to get paid or whatever. When they go to buy, you just now automatically are the one that seems like you're the most trusted, because ultimately they say, crap, I got to decide today who I'm going to use for this wedding photographer. Who am I going to choose? And then the first person that comes to mind that they think that is the person that's been communicating with them the most, and that you're going to get the biggest effect by having unique messaging that actually helps the user in the remarketing the way that I said. But if you do that, you build up a respect in the process that you're going to be the default option a majority of the time, which is why you want to do it. And you always want to invest 10 to 20% of what your total ad budget is in the follow-up, because follow-up is more important than strict reach on your advertising campaigns to a degree. But having 100% of your budget going to new people is not as effective as having 90% go to new people and 10% to close the deal on those leads. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, on top of the leads closing at a higher rate, so I mentioned, if you can have the ability to have a custom landing page and ability for people to do deep research right away once they fill out the form on the main site, now you got this remarketing, which builds trust with the user. So when they fill out the form, they're likely to buy at a higher rate than before. They're also more likely to go back to the page and fill out the form now that they know more about you. In a lot of different clients as well, about half the total leads that we're getting, just volume-wise, is going to come from the remarketing ads, because I have such a sophisticated approach, like I told you before about doing remarketing, so that I don't have just one attempt at them. I have basically virtually hundreds. And I'm going to hit every single psychological point that I need to get the message across that I'm the only logical choice in the space with the remarketing ads to beef up what we had. And we know that you're looking to buy. We got you to our page, and then following them up so much better than if most people have no follow-up to begin with, but it's 1,000 times better than our competitors follow-up. We're going to be able to seem like the default choice. So the number of people who come back, if they, in general, just to fill out our form in the first place, is going to be much higher, because that's just how it works, due to all the things that I told you. So you're going to get, a lot of times, if you do it the way that I said, in a lot of markets, half your total leads will come from the remarketing. The way that I know that is I can tell before remarketing and then after remarketing. The remarketing, to see it, it's hard to tell, because the remarketing has a subliminal effect on the user. A lot of times they see the ad. They don't click on it and react right away. Many times they see the ad, they internalize it, and then when they go to buy, they remember your name, and then they go Google it, and then they buy then. So you won't see it in your conversion stats, but trust me, you can get twice as many leads doing just that little bit of 10% of your total budget that you had before going to the remarketing. So anyway, you will actually get more leads if you do remarketing, but once at the end of the day, just adding up the fact that you have the landing page, people can go do deep research on your site before or after filling out the form, and then that you have basically hundreds of future opportunities to remarket to the person in a way that they're reminded of the initial user experience they had when they hit your page. You add it all up there, you got much, much better ROI than if you just got somebody off a lead form. They get somebody off the lead form, they basically know very, very little about your business. Yeah, you get more leads, might be quite a bit more leads, but they don't close. And so you want the opportunity to do this, as I mentioned over here with the landing page and the super sophisticated remarketing that you can set up for yourself. But when basically once it's set up, it's forget it, and it just works and works and works forever. For years and years, you could run those ads probably with no maintenance whatsoever. And just keep producing. But that's in general lead ads, what the deal is with it. Now, don't attack me, Google. Google now has recently came out with YouTube ads with lead. It's called lead forms for the YouTube ads to do the same thing. And I don't want to say there's always an instance where having the lead form can be good, particularly if you have no clue how to put the website together, or just is so much a struggle. You can start to just use the lead form, but eventually, I don't think Google will get mad at me by saying it, that you should use a landing page, because that's ultimately what helps the user the most. And Google they may seem greedy or whatever, but they really their number one goal is to help the user out the most they can, basically. They're making, so people are addicted to using Google products. So, but it's the same thing with that. You want, for the reasons I mentioned, of just basically, just making more profit and making more money from your investment, you want a landing page, you want to do this long chain remarketing that I told you that I use on all our campaigns in the kind of proportion that I mentioned we use for our campaigns, like devoting 10% of your budget just to the remarketing, as I talked about before. So it's the same concepts there that would apply. And the reason why I made this video is because I knew Google ads via the YouTube campaigns, you could do lead ads now. And I think it's getting a little out of control, if you will, in terms of, I think, what people are thinking, that lead forms are the bomb, if you will, just simply put. And they're not. And anyway, the reason for that is obviously you can make a lot more money doing it with landing page and the remarketing if you do it the way that I said. You actually do it in a sophisticated way. Don't come back to me saying it didn't work and you didn't put much effort into it. Do it the right way. If you need examples of landing pages and remarketing ads, look at our site portfolio at guaranteeppc.com. You can easily see what kind of things you need to do there, just to kind of have a guideline to sort of get you on the right track. But as far as case studies go, I have two different instances here, both of which the person was using lead forms before, and I said, why the heck are you using lead forms? You suck, basically. Going along with my stupid comment. So, and I said, but the reason why they weren't using them is because, again, like most people in their situation, they needed to have landing pages, and it was for specific offers that should have a landing page, and they didn't have it. And so we switched over to using a landing page instead of the lead ad. And I set up the remarketing for them, and everything that I told you on this video, I do it on every campaign anyway, since it matters so much to the bottom line in general on anything we're running. But if you want to know the difference between lead ads versus not lead ads in terms of the increase in close rate that you can get from those leads now that you're marketing to that person in the maximum way you can, in terms of instilling trust, communicating all your value, getting the trust through repetition, as I talked about. Personal injury lawyer that was doing lead ads, in the situation that you're trying to get somebody who got in a car accident. Now, this would be a situation where the effects won't be as great, because for all practical purposes, even if I didn't know a lot about the lawyer, I would, I might be able to hire that company because I don't really care. It's no risk to me. In that particular situation, we compared before and after. Because I said, you're getting a lot of leads, but when somebody actually goes to your firm and they remember the experience they had, and then when they called you, remember the experience while they were on the site when you talked to them, and you can follow up with them, and there's all these other things you can do, that we got 50% more plus. Now, I don't have an exact percentage here because you just stop at a certain point, but I know it was over 50%. Or right around that kind of range, 50+%, 50, 60, something like that. More money, same ad budget, more money, and doing it the proper way, and not just using the landing page for somebody who got in a car accident and wanted help to be able to instill the confidence and trust in their firm itself through the process I told you about. Now, the other one this is kind of the opposite. In the situation where having more information would help you even further or even more than in the situation with the personal injury lawyer I talked about just a minute ago. That is, this is a company who sold metal detached buildings. So, in other words, if you have a farm and you need a metal building for your tractors, or it could be you're running a home business and you need store inventory for products that you're selling. You get they come and they build this metal building for you, all shapes and sizes. So with that, using lead forms, for me, I just could tell for sure when we switched over to actually using a landing page that it tells them exactly why we're the best, and that we have all these variety of different things, and we really work with our users, and so on and so on and so on. That was going to make a huge difference. Then especially, and on top of it, doing the remarketing I told you about before. We got 150% more money, over 150%. Don't know the exact percentage, but it was over 150% on that one. Switching over from the lead ads on Facebook/Instagram to doing the full shebang landing page remarketing sequence. And so with that, you got a lot greater results. People being able to take a deep dive on the site if they want to, like I said. People that filled out the form buying at a more frequent rate, which makes the lead quality better. People for remarketing being able to be also resold over and over again, and then build trust enough so that you're the default option of choice once that person eventually is in a situation where they have to make a decision now. So for a bunch of different reasons, that's why you're going to get they got the 150%, and you're going to get something similar if you're selling something that takes a lot of trust or more information to do the selling, and for them to do the buying than something like a personal injury lawyer, which doesn't literally cost you any money. Or if you sell something less expensive, you're trying to push somebody to buy a ticket for a show this weekend. That's such a low barrier to entry sale that the lead form for the most part might work close to as good as the landing page. Now, it still would be worth it. I haven't found a case where it hasn't been that it wouldn't make sense to do it personally, but that would be a situation where if you had other bigger things going on to worry about, you may do that versus switching over to using the landing page, especially for a campaign that might actually run, 2-3 weeks and the event's over. So it's up to you to decide when and where you use this, of course. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I have a ton of other videos like this on this channel that go over other PPC money making strategies, stuff that I use on our clients' campaigns here every day. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog that goes over step by step on how I build campaigns, like I just explained on this video, the remarketing campaigns and so forth. If you want to see that, you should check that out as well. Apart from that, if you have any questions or comments about this switching, using lead form stuff that, switching over, anything about that that you thought I should cover or have questions about, leave a comment down below. I get back to every person who leaves a comment or question on this channel within a day or two. Apart from that, I hope you enjoy the video as well. So, and I hope you are going to stick around for my next video that's coming up that has another great PPC strategy on it.